Hi students, today we're going to be talking about our dotted quarter notes. So go ahead and open up your book to page 26 and we're going to look at song number 22. And I want to point out first of all that if you are a viola, your number 22 is printed incorrectly. So you guys have the word half here instead of quarter. So I want you to take your pencil and I want you to cross out the word half and then write in the word quarter. While you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and start moving on. So everybody right now, when you're looking at number 22, you can see that underneath the first measure, you have some numbers written down. And these numbers look a little bit different than how you normally see the numbers on the page. Normally you see the numbers going this way, but on this one, you see the numbers coming down and going this way. And there is that symbol on here that looks kind of, we call it an and sign, but the actual word is called ampersand. And I'm not going to use that symbol. I'm actually just going to draw a plus. And to me, that means the same thing as and. I don't like writing the word and because it takes a long time and kind of starts looking messy. So I feel like this plus sign right here is cleaner for me. I like to read it that way. So you guys have underneath your first measure, you have it written down as 1 and 2. And underneath viola, cello, and bass, you guys have all the same thing, but I'm just going to use this violin line because it looks a little bit cleaner. This is where it kind of looks strange because when I look at the first note, I see a dot. And then after that first note, I see this type of note. And this type of note we're used to seeing where there's a beam on top. And the beam on top could be on top of 2 notes or on top of 4 notes. That doesn't look super great, but that's okay. So normally we see the beam either on top or below our notes. In this case, this 8th note that I see right here, this 8th note is all by itself. And so I like to imagine that 8th note just kind of got separated from his friends. And here is the 8th notes you normally see with the beam on top. And this guy decided he wanted to walk away and he fell with his connecting arm. They were holding hands and it fell down. So that is called now a flag. And you can kind of imagine like a sailboat with a flag. Okay, so that's called a flag. And you can see that on the viola, cello, and bass, their flag goes up. We still call that a flag. But this 8th note looks a little bit different again. So underneath your 8th note, you have the word and all by itself. Normally we see a number right in front of it, but we just see the and by itself. After that, you see the next number, which is 3 and 4. And then the last one is and. If you look at the next measure, you can see that we again start with a dotted quarter note. And you can tell it's a dotted quarter note because it's a quarter note with a dot right next to it. So someone was super creative and said, we should call this a Mrs. Barnett note. No, that's pretty good, but let's call it a dotted quarter note because it's a dot next to a quarter note. Since it's the same thing that we have written down in our first measure, we're going to write the same thing again. So 1 and 2. Again, there's my 8th note all by itself with his flag falling down or going upward. And I'm going to write the same thing and. Oh, look at this next one. It also is a dotted quarter note. So I'm going to write in 3 and 4. After that, another and. So you can look at the next measure and see that it's also the same thing. So go ahead and write the same counting down. I'm just going to draw an arrow because it's really hard to write on here. So I just want you to write the same counting, but I want you to stop once you get to the 4th measure because the 4th measure, I can look already and I can see that it looks different. I can see that we have a rest at the very end. So that's going to already look a little bit different. It's going to be counted a little bit different as well. So I'm going to write down, look at that. I see a dotted quarter note again. So I'm going to write it the same way that I wrote every other measure because every other measure starts with a 1 and 2 with a dotted quarter note. So I'm going to write a 1 and 2 followed by that 8th note. So I'm going to write again and, but now I see just a quarter note, and the quarter note always just gets one beat. So I'm going to put the number 3. And my last quarter rest, even though it's a rest, gets my last beat 4. And you might be wondering, why are we writing 3 different things underneath a dotted quarter note? And that's because our dotted quarter note gets 1.5 beats. So my dotted quarter note gets 1.5 beats. And that's a weird number, don't you think? Because normally when we talk about notes, we talk about half notes, and half notes get 2 beats, and whole notes get 4 beats, and quarter notes get 1 beat, and our dotted half note gets 3 beats, and they're solid numbers. And this dotted quarter note is kind of a weird one because it gets 1.5 beats. So like 1 beat and another half. So we have 1.5 beats here, 1.5 beats here, 1.5 beats here, 1.5 beats here. And you can see I have 3 numbers written down underneath it with that and in the middle. And this is how you count number 22 dotted